Hi, my name is David Watson, and this is a Form 2 personal testimony video. And so I'm just going to basically break it down into three parts: my life before Jesus, how I met Jesus, and then life after. And then I'm going to include my lordship story a little bit because I feel like that's a very important concept to my testimony. And so let's just get right into it. So life before Jesus. So I'm a third generational Christian. And so this concept of God and Jesus has always been in my life ever since I was really young. When I was 6 years old, I gave my life to Jesus. I just felt like God was calling me to His heart, and so, again, being a third generational Christian, I had the honor and privilege to, just grow up in a home where like Christ was the center, and I really have my mom and dad to thank for that because. Like my mom growing up, especially, like she didn't really have a great example of what it looked like to, be a Christian, and so she really learned through her brother, and then her parents got saved later on. But I was 6 years old. I got called, and I just felt God tugging on my heart, and I just wanted to have a relationship with Him. And so my life kind of after being there, being saved. It was a lot of up and down moments, like growing up. I always had this love for Jesus, but then whenever I got around middle school, I kind of lost sight of that. I had like a super bad habit of like cussing and like just trying to be cool in a fallen world. And so like as a sixth grader, the whole goal of life is to fit in. And so I felt like I had to fit in that moment. But going into high school, I felt like God was telling me like, hey, you need to don't try to impress the world, try to come close to me. And so I was like, okay. So I'm kind of building this relationship towards Him, through my freshman and sophomore year of high school. And then my junior year, I felt like I had the choice to stay in football or leave, and I felt like God was really telling me to stay because that's your mission field. Like being in football was my mission field. He spoke those words to me, and so I was like, all right, Lord. And so this kind of goes to my lordship story. I shared about a little bit about it in class, the first day of class. But basically, it hit me at a summer camp, my junior year going into my senior year. I had this really burden on my heart to I really wanted to be a business owner, and I felt like that's what God had called me to. I didn't want to be called to anything else. I was called to make money. I was called to, get personal gains. And so that's what I really aspired towards. I tried to start multiple t-shirt businesses. I had multiple ideas for multiple things, and just get money, get rich fast scheme, stuff like that. And so I was like, yeah, I'm called to be a king. Like you got kings, you got prophets, and you got something else, but I was called to be a king because kings make money and they advance the kingdom through their giving. And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm called to do. And I was like, there's no doubt in my mind, all these things. And so I go to summer camp, and the story really starts at middle school camp. I got really close to this one friend. His name was Gabriel, and because I felt like God had told me earlier in that year to get closer to men of God, and I was like, oh yeah, he's a man of God. He's at middle school camp. He's from Faith Church. That's someone who I want to get close to. He owns a t-shirt company, so that's kind of where I was aspiring towards. And then fast forward to high school camp, I just felt like there was so much spiritual attack during the night before. There was this instance where my pastor told me I couldn't hang out with these people. Because there were two girls and I was a guy. It was a whole thing. And I understand now, but in that moment it was just why? I don't understand. We're just friends. I'm just hanging out with these people. These are the people that I've connected to last year. I don't see a problem in it. And so I had a moment with my pastor that morning or the next morning, just on just heart to heart, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm struggling with. Can you help me out? And so I got kind of breakthrough in that. And there was a couple things later that happened later on that night. And so walking into that night session, I just felt free and lifted. And I was like, okay, Lord, I'm good. And so Gabriel, like I said during class, there's this moment where Miss Mia from Church of the King, now it's called Southside Church or something like that. She went up and she was like, hey, we are going into a ministry time, like we're going to be praying over people, stuff like that. And my friend Gabriel comes over and prays for me. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he was just like, praying, speaking life over me, stuff like that. And then Miss Mia goes up to the platform and starts praying. And I'm like, okay, like I'm praying with her. And then she quotes exactly what Gabriel says. And then she says, she says, if you're called to ministry, if you feel the call of ministry on your life, I want you to come to the front. And my whole life I've heard this, this call up to the front type moment. And I was like, that's not me. Like, this is not me. I'm good. This is not my story. This is not who I'm called to be. That's not who I want it to be. And while everyone was going to the front, went to the bathroom, I was physically running from God. And so I went in the bathroom and I just looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I'm bawling at this point. And God speaks to me through kind of pictures. And so God showed me this picture of a box full of like my wants, my desires, my t-shirt company, my Christian t-shirt company, like all of that. And then he put it in a box and he put God wrapping paper on it. And he said, you can't have a box full of your sin and smack me on top of it as a label. And I was like, whoa. And so I was like, all right, Lord. And so basically going through that, then he dropped the story of Jonah, how Jonah ran from his calling. I went back into the room and I said, Lord, if this is really you, then I sent someone to the back, like Mr. Michael, one of the leaders that was there, that I physically knew was not in the room. And he came to the back and I was like, all right, Lord, this is you. And so from that point on, I've kind of just been chasing after the Lord, what he's called me to do. I felt the call to come to Milestone College during that time. And so that was really like my lordship moment where I was like, okay, now like I've been saved. I have Jesus in my heart, but now I'm going to do something about it. And so that was really kind of the moment where, everything really just happened. And so there's my testimony a little bit, and then my lordship story, because I feel like that's the key to my faith. So yeah.